So, where do we sit?
You probably sit in front.
Over there, right?
Yes, sir. There's someone online. Sarah Jo.
Sarah Jo, yes, she's one of the.
Hello, Mark. Please signify if you can hear us.
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Good morning, everybody.
We can't hear you. I feel like you've not unmuted yourself.
I have now. Good morning. Can you hear me now?
Hello, Ma.
I'm unmuted. Hello.
Oh, okay. We can hear you now.
Great. Good morning.
Good morning, Ma. Please, can you
Awesome.
respond? Are you able to see the panel?
Good morning.
Can you see?
Yes, I can see everyone.
Okay.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. How are you? You look
Great.
great.
I'm great. Chikezie, hi.
Hi.
Sir, you wave to the camera. This is the camera here. Yes.
Okay, great. Hello, everybody. Awesome.
Yes, sir. It's 11 already. It's 11 already, sir.
You can check. Have you checked the waiting room? The chair is supposed to be Chinyere Stella, no? Yes. She's not in the waiting room also.
You want to attend the meeting?
Yes.
I think you should pick somebody from your panelists to do that, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. If you want to.
Okay.
I've seen that. Those are women that it's sponsored by Declan.
Yes, because he has one.
Yeah, you could bring it. Just supervise. How's it going?
What's going on, sir?
Good for me.
We're waiting for the chair. He's the owner of the book, the author.
Who is your number?
The author is in white.
Okay.
There are some physical panelists here, but like
Okay.
he wants the chair to come, so we're waiting for 5 more minutes. Sir, one of your panelists is online as well, Dr. Wale Oni.
Okay, so
I've promoted him to be a panelist, yes.
good afternoon. So, you are the respondent?
Yeah, no, I'm the respondent.
The respondent.
Yes.
Yeah, and discussant, so respondent should be here.
Okay.
Discussant should be here.
Hello.
Wait, nobody's coming in.
Nobody's coming again.
Nobody's coming.
But it should be here because you are the body discussant.
Yeah.
No. Let him be part of the next one.
Just let them do it.
He's talking to you, respond to you. Check your attendees.
I already did.
Is this a guest?
Yeah, okay, yes.
You can start. Who's the teacher?
The chair is not around. The chair is Chinyere, Stella, open now.
Can you turn off this fan? Don't make me blind because of the lights.
It's not going off. Charlie. Sorry.
Very light.
Okay.
Yeah.
There will be out. Oh God.
Hello.
Can you hear us, Dr. Ali?
Yes, I just want to confirm you can hear me as well.
Please respond if you can hear me.
Can you hear us?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you.
Hello.
We can hear you. You ring through. Can you hear us?
Okay, thank you.
We can hear you.
Okay, the volume is a bit low from your hand, so that's why.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is the volume of the system? Let's see what's going on.
There's something going on.
Okay, yeah,
I can hear you. It's around there.
Okay, the chair is there.
All right.
Let her just take it away. Let her know that.
Is he a doctor or a professor? Is he Professor Chinyere or Dr. Chinyere? Okay. Dr. Chinyere, please indicate if you can hear us, ma. Good morning, ma. Ma, please indicate if you can hear us, ma.
Yeah.
Please unmute yourself, ma.
Yeah, she can hear you, but she has not muted us. She has muted. Give her time.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm muted.
You're welcome, ma.
Good morning.
Yes, ma.
Good morning. Hello.
Dr. Chinyere, ma, you can start, ma. You are the chair of the panel. You can start, ma.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I would like to welcome all the panel members to this very important event. I'm sure as we go on, you'll understand why this means a lot to me. I've, in my long career in journalism education, I've had pleasant moments, but this one is the one that, well, among others, should surpass my pleasure from others. Because we are looking at a book authored by one of my most brilliant academic sons. I am a professor of mass communication. I have a formal mentorship group comprising mainly young academics, young in either age or tenure, and ReadersUzuegbunam is one of them. We'll begin by please letting us know who the panelists are. Can we quickly introduce ourselves, please? My name is Chinyere Okunna. I'm a professor of mass communication of long standing, old in both tenure in academics and in age. So welcome, everyone, and thank you for attending.
Thank you, Professor Chikezie. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, all right. It's an opportunity to meet you, although virtually, and probably, hopefully, at some point we'll get to meet in person. My name is Wale Oni. I'm an academic, and I've been in academia for quite a season now. I would say, as far back as 2005. Before I moved to the UK, I had stints at the University of Ibadan, Ladoke Akintola University of Technology, as well as Osun State University. My field of expertise is media technology use experience. That's where I had my PhD, and my research as far back as 2001 focuses exclusively on technology use experience across different contexts, whether at individual level, institutional level, or at the group and community-based level. At the moment, I'm an academic with Canterbury Christ Church University here in the UK, supporting global banking school as a business intelligence and business related technology lecturer and researcher. Thank you.
Can we hear the other panelists introduce themselves?
Okay, great. It's such a blessing and an honor to be.
Are you there? Who is speaking now?
Okay, my name is Dr. Sarah Chidebere-Joe. I'm a lecturer with Rivers State University. Can you hear me, please?
I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. My name is Dr. Sarah Chidebere-Joe. I'm a lecturer at Rivers State University, Department of Development Communication Studies, Faculty of Communication and Media Studies. It's such a blessing to be a panelist in this very exciting conversation. Uzuegbunam is such a brilliant person. I met him first in South Africa, and then we sort of talked back and forth. And so when he asked me to come discuss his book, I just felt it was a great opportunity, and it's such a blessing to meet you again, Professor Okunna. We've heard great things about you, and I'm looking forward to very rich conversations with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else is there? Is Ngozi there?
Yes, Ngozi is there, please.
Ngozi, can we hear you?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Ngozi Obara, and I'm glad to meet Professor Okunna again. I'm from Pan Atlantic University in Lagos, Nigeria, School of Media and Communication with Science. And I'm an associate professor of media and communication ethics. I'm glad to say that Professor Okunna was the external examiner of my first PhD supervisee. And that was when I had the opportunity to meet her live after hearing of her many years ago as the first professor of mass communication, which is not an easy feat. So when I heard that she's going to chair this panel, I thought I could see her live, but unfortunately she's not here, and I'm sure that I meet her once again in Nigeria together, I suppose. Okay, so now I'm very grateful. I'm glad to be part of this book review panel. And as I was telling the author, it's actually my area, media ethics, and then of course adolescent studies and all this technology, how it serves them in behavior, academics, and so on and so forth. And I've done quite a lot in that area. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Good to know you've risen. You're an assistant professor. Congratulations, my dear girl. That's good progress. Keep it up, eh? Is Wale here? Okay, who is there? Okay.
Ademola.
Go on.
Ademola Adeshola is my name. I come from the Department of English, Languages and Cultures at Mount Royal University in Canada. My teaching and research interests are colonial literatures, African and Black diaspora literatures, children and welfare, and humanitarian human rights narratives. Yeah.
Thank you. Who next?
Wale?
Who haven't spoken? Wale?
I think I had the first go, so
Okay.
unless you,
Is there?
yes.
There should be 4 of you.
Yes, there are 4. Yeah, we're all 4 and we're all had our time.
Hello?
Everyone has been introduced.
Okay. Now, we all know why we are here. We have a book to look at about children and young people and what they do, the exploits they are recording on the internet. So today, people have spoken about Chikezie's book, and I'm wondering what they have said and what we're here to discuss today. We've all read that book, and let's look at some of the sayings about that book. Eventually, we will hear Chikezie himself. Like I said earlier, Chikezie, and one of you also mentioned it, is a very brilliant young man. He has done really well in academics, and he's rising so rapidly. Sometimes I wonder where he gets all the energy from. So maybe we can hear the author himself. Chikezie, can we hear a little bit about you? Not what your mommy prof says. Call me mommy prof. Yeah. Chikezie, can we hear you?
Yes, thank you, mommy prof. Thank you to the panelists, Professor Wale Oni, Professor Ademola, Professor Ngozi, Dr. Sarah Jo. I really appreciate all of you for saying yes to this book panel. And it's my great pleasure that this book panel is being chaired by the most respected media and communication scholar in Nigeria and Sub-Saharan Africa, Professor ReadersUzuegbunam, who is my mommy prof, as we call her. And she would have been here physically. She has booked her flights and everything, but something came up at the last minute that made it impossible for her to be here. And I'm really glad. And I also want to thank the audience, our colleagues here, and also especially my lovely wife, ReadersUzuegbunam, is here to support me. So I'm looking forward to the discussion. Of course, my name is Dr. Chikezie. I am a senior lecturer at Rhodes University in South Africa, where I'm also the deputy head of department for teaching and research, and also the master's coordinator. Thank you very much.
Chikezie, welcome. Oh, your wife is there. Greetings, my dear daughter. How are you? Let me thank the panelists. I didn't know the panelists were so distinguished. My dear panelists, welcome and congratulations on the progress you're making in the academia. You will do more, I'm sure. Now, let us look at what some people have said about this book, and please listen very carefully. One person says, this imaginatively conceived, comprehensively pitched, carefully conceptualized, rigorously researched, and thoughtfully written account. That's big praise for a book. Again, someone says the author of this book brings together a number of fine qualities, into a powerful and cohesive account. Notably, it's judicious, elegant, cogent, and highly readable account, melding together somehow personal reflections, an acute observation, skillful and sensitive interpretation of data, and the telling details of the lives, practices, and voices of the research participants. That is the word those he wrote about, and considered strategic recommendations for policy and practice. Are we listening? The same book has been spoken of as follows as an important milestone in research. The book, we are told, offers a textured, lively, and thought-provoking cross-section of the dynamics of digital technology as it has become embedded in a society, that's the Nigerian society, offering us precious insights into the complex and ambiguous cultural, political, communal, and then familial contexts. Again, the implications are many, numerous for this praise. And I want to ask, having listened to all that, the panelists, do you think that praise is merited, deserved? Do you think the things I've read now, these are some of the things? There are other statements on this book, appreciating it, praising it, and telling us how wonderfully well it has been put together. Is this praise deserved, panelists? If you want to speak, let me know. Is it overpraised? Is it overrated? You've read it. And then what impresses you most yourself about the book? First of all, do you think Chikezie and his book deserve this praise? Anyone can speak up?
Do you want the presentation to begin, or just asking a general question?
Hello?
I'm asking if you want us to go one after the other to do our prepared discussion.
Yes, let's go the way we appear.
Okay.
In this, we have Ademola Adeshola,
Yeah.
we have Sarah Chidebere Jo, we have Ngozi Okpara and Wole Uni. Can we go in that order?
How many
Ademola,
minutes
can we hear you?
How many minutes does each presenter have?
Maximum of for this one, maybe 1 or 2 sentences. I will come to the last one when you say, what are your impressions, your own? I've read you what people are saying about this book. Okay. Just tell me, do you think that is deserved? Just yes or no, and then 1 sentence. Why? Okay. At the end, I'm going to ask you each individually, what do you think about this book? What are your impressions? What impresses you most about this book?
Right. So,
but for now,
to respond to the first question you are posing, my inclination is towards an affirmative yes. In other words, aligning with the phrases that you have just done.
Okay, I will take that. Thank you. Sarah, you're going to justify that statement. It's a claim you've made. You've claimed that Chikezie's book is deserving of the praise being rained on it. I will ask you later to justify that claim. It's an assertion you need to justify by telling me what your impressions about the book are and what you think the strong points of that book should be. But now you are aligned with the praisers, in quotes, of the book. Sarah, can we hear you? You think his word is overpraised?
I think it's justified. I do agree that Chikezie has done an excellent work, because I mean, we read a lot of texts. I'll just wait for my justification later to put flesh to my position.
Thank you. That will do. Is Ngozi there?
Yes, so I'm here. Okay, so
what do you think? Does this young man deserve this praise?
Okay, thank you. I said yes too, because it is a detailed, well-written piece that's really not the area I'm most interested with. The societal construction of children as objects we have to shift. children are subjects and should be seen as such. That's what I'm taking from that, and it made a lot of impression on me.
Thank you. Appreciated. Wale, can we hear you? It's Wale, isn't it? Not Wale,
Yes,
like
Wale, yes.
Can we hear you, please?
Thank you, Prof. I think the book is quite, justified, so I can really see where the reviews are coming from, all the positive accolades and reviews, and I think these are well justified statements regarding Uzuegbunam's book. So probably at the course of our next discussions, I'll be adding more to why I think this is a very timely book.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, this is where you're going to shine, all of you. Where you're going to really make a mark in this discussion. I will now ask, you've agreed with others who have praised the book. If you were to talk about this book, tell me what impresses you most. There are a number of impressions, but what, as a panelist, has impressed you most about this book? You can talk for up to, well, I think 10 minutes too much. Okay, 10 minutes maximum, but I expect we'll finish before that time. Again, can we go in the same order?
Okay. All right.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I am. Thank you, Chair. I want to begin by congratulating Dr. Zubunam on the accomplishment of creation of this book. It's a beautiful course, one that requires very good attention. Although thank the NSA for the share with what it came. So I have a clear remark of what underlines my point from various in the book. I begin by saying some 39 years ago, an eminent tax accountant, Robert Holmes, published a seminal book entitled The Political Life of Children. A product of over 10 years of painstaking research, Holmes' book posed a seemingly pointless but germane question that troubled our hitherto unquestioned understanding about children as apolitical and depoliticized entities. Chair, can you please share? It's like interference, noise interference.
Where?
No one. Okay, so the question, do children have a political life? Holmes answered unequivocally affirmatively. Holmes' significant work compellingly demonstrates that children have political life and that they are more aware and active politically and more developed morally and socially than adults generally assume or are willing to concede. I take that thought in line with the body's thinking, which I will come to. Strangely, as if Holmes' influential work and those that emerged subsequently have not been taken enough about children's and young people's ability to process and respond to varied phenomena in their socioeconomic and political life world. The advent and evolution of digital technology comes with renewed and heightened distresses from adults in both domestic and institutional spaces who prefer staging rigid policing and rationalizing the incompatibility of children and young people with this technological invention to understanding how best to make technology enhance the wellness and progress of these human categories. It is in response to this discouraging and unhelpful stance that some scholars have provoked and engaged the question, can and do children and young people cultivate digital consciousness, savviness, and competence safely and productively? One of these researchers who have engaged with this poser is Chikezie Uzuegbunam, as evident in his monograph, Children and Young People's Life Work, Domestication, Mediation, and Agency. Like the referenced Holmes' book, Uzuegbunam's new offering makes a persuasive case about children and young people as formidably complex social agents whose disposition to social, political, and technological development cannot be understood through groundless and unprocessed trepidations. Uzuegbunam's book privileges children's and young people's instrumentalization of digital technologies for the purposes of education, self-expression, leisure, socialization, making sense of the political and the realities of the world they inhabit, among several other serious and mundane undertakings. In methodically examining how these human categories understand, appropriate, and deploy digital technologies in their everyday existence, Uzuegbunam canvasses a repudiation of what he describes as, quote, the normalized moral and media panic modes, end of quote. These attitudes, for him, are disempowering and neither make for understanding how children and young people crisscross the highways of digital technologies through assorted mobile devices, nor do they allow for the emplacement of viable strategies for supporting and encouraging an ethical and responsible use of digital technologies on the part of children and young people. Uzuegbunam makes a case for children's and young people's inclusion in any attempts at initiating protocols for productive uses of technology. In making this observation, I am reminded of the words of another prominent scholar of child studies, Joe Boydin, who strongly asserts that, quote, children often do not understand, experience, or respond to things as adults do, or in the ways that are entirely predictable and have many valuable insights into causes and means of ameliorating and managing them. I do argue that Uzuegbunam nudges us in similar direction. Uzuegbunam's book is not a product of vacuum. The research contributes to an existing discourse on young people and digital technologies. Its geography of interest is Africa, or more specifically, Nigeria, one of the countries in the term that I hate to use, the global south, where, as the author contends, research about both preteens and teenagers' digital practices and participation is still fundamentally narrow and exploratory, and the field is underdeveloped. The depth of research in this respect justifies the relevance of Uzuegbunam's children and young people's digital life works. In filling the observed gap in the extant research on young Nigerians' interaction with digital technologies, Uzuegbunam prioritizes some pertinent questions that define the vigorously robust interpretive analysis it masterfully executes in chapters 5 to 9 of the 10th chapter book. These questions are: 1. What informed understanding might we gain from examining the degree of access to digital technologies available to young people in rural and urban spaces in Nigeria? 2. How do young Nigerians operationalize digital technologies, and how do these machineries impact the various strata of their lives? 3. What media do they favor in their attentiveness to digital technologies? 4. What roles do adult agents in domestic and institutional settings play in the digital lives of young people? And 5, what forms of agency does the use of digital technologies, as well as the actions of gatekeeper, activate in young people? What becomes apparent in Uzuegbunam's interpretive discussion in the aforementioned chapters, based on these questions, is that these are forces that are not amenable to easy answers. Contrary to the popular view, Uzuegbunam understands, as I also discovered in my own research on children at war, that children are not easily graspable. In other words, young netizens continue to defy a simple, non-nuanced adult understanding of their everyday use of digital technologies. I could go on to unpack the specifics of Uzuegbunam's thought-provoking analysis, but at this juncture, I would like to accord attention to something else in the book, this being what I call its paratextual element. And by paratext, I mean elements of a book such as the cover page, the dedication, the acknowledgement, the author's notes, prologue, as well as the epilogue. Contrary to most people's understanding, these paratextual elements are not innocent, detached part of the book. They presage ideas and issues to be encountered in a book. The paratextual component of Uzuegbunam's book that I am concerned with here are three: the prologue, the author's note, and the epilogue. In the prologue to the book, Uzuegbunam tells the story of a 9-year-old Ugochukwu whom he met in a grocery store, enthusiastically having a conversation on his mobile phone. This encounter, which is the inspiration for Uzuegbunam's book, performs the didactic function of reminding of the fact that anything, indeed, any phenomenon, can trigger a line of scholarly inquiry. Or, as Uzuegbunam himself renders it, a casual, normal, everyday experience can serve as, quote, a light bulb moment, end of quote, that illuminates a viable research endeavor. Rendered differently, besides the insight into children's and young people's relationship with technologies that the book is concerned with, there is also a message for any young emerging researcher, which is that observation is one of the vital, indispensable necessities of the life of a man. A scholar must not ignore the intellectual restlessness and prodding that observed social phenomenon provokes. Furthermore, the paratextual elements of prologue, author's preface, and epilogue in Uzuegbunam's book provide a useful context for making sense of the discussions herein. Among others, they usefully perform the following functions. 1, they readily underline the inspiration of the book's focus. 2, they clearly outline gap in in existing literature as regards the field of interest. And 3, they forcefully summarize the significance and contribution to knowledge that the research prioritizes. Above all, the paratextual elements, the repetitions in them notwithstanding, tickle imagination and inspire interest in the substance of the book. Uzuegbunam's children and young people's digital life records contributes to extant body of knowledge that privileges children's and young people's digital media experiences, instrumentalization, appropriation, deployment, and its impact on them. The book underscores the point that these human groups act on and shape digital technologies, just as these innovations shape and influence them. In its existentialist language use in regard to children's and young people's techno-savviness, the book invites us to be attentive to the point that the unpurposeful and inflexible policing of young people's engagement in digital spaces and technologies will culture their minds to be destructively secretive, harmfully inventive, and damagingly dodgy. For it to be meaningfully productive, the surveillance of young people's relationship with media and digital technologies must eschew shaming, judging, and outright blocking of access. In all, and I come to my last paragraph, I hope I'm still with it. In all, Uzuegbunam's children and young people's digital life work is a useful resource for researchers, teachers, students, and even parents interested in how children and young people relate with media and digital technologies in different contexts. The monograph is a meaty addition to scholarly knowledge about children and young people accessing and operationalizing digital technologies in the developing world. As I close, I have several other questions, but I will just center one. This research focuses primarily on Nigeria, and I'm wondering why, for example, the author isn't even interested in places, like South Africa or Kenya, where digital technologies are even more prominent in terms of, their usage. I understand we can extrapolate some of the conclusions in the book, for these spaces, but I'm interested in why any of these spaces isn't part of the primary focus. On that note, I thank you for the audience.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Well done, well done. That's a very wide-ranging overview of the entire thing. And I wonder, why do you think they look at South Africa? already wondering why the minority vote is not being verified. And then you mentioned blaming by parents and all that.
Dr. Chiyere, ma, please, you have to unmute yourself. We can't hear you clearly. She logged in on 2 phones. Hello, ma.
Prof, you need to unmute yourself from your end.
They said you should use Dr.
Oh, dear. Can you hear me now?
Ma, it's not clear. I think you need to unmute the second phone. That will be clearer.
Please tell me when you hear me well, okay? Because I'm doing my.
Don't worry, we understand. We're dealing with technology.
Can you hear me now?
Continue, ma. We can hear you, ma.
Okay, and there's echo also. Is the echo coming from my end or your end?
Please go ahead, ma'am.
All right. Can I continue?
Yes. Yeah.
Very wide-ranging, very incisive,
She's in control.
and comprehensive. Again, just to react to one thing you said, are you wondering why Chikezie didn't look at South Africa? You know, if you had looked at South Africa, you would be deepening the gap between the first world, that is the majority, the third world, the majority world, and the minority world.
Prof, ma, can you hear me, ma? We cannot hear you at all now because you are muted.
If you look to your device, then I want to do.
She logged in on 2 devices. I think our son has one and she has one. It's the one in front of her that needs to be unmuted. The
Please,
one directly in
help her
front
to
of her.
unmute her device. Help her to unmute the computer before her.
They will do it. They have to do it because she's a panelist. Yes. We can.
Yes, she's unmuted
She's
now.
unmuted now.
Yes, okay now.
Now the video is off and is now muted. No, this is the second login. I think our son has a login and then she logged in too. Sorry, Nigerian technology is crazy.
Help me slap this boy here when we finish, when you come down to Anambra State. Go on. Are we ready now?
Yes, we can hear you.
I mean, but you can. Most important thing now. Let me not keep commending the last speaker, but I'm impressed with what you said. It's a very wide-ranging overview of this book. But let me again ask, of all the things you said about this book, all the, well, I won't call it criticism, all the recommendations and all the commendations, what impresses you most? Maybe in a sentence or two. What is your strongest, the strongest point of this book for you? What you read?
Thank you, Prof, for that question. I would put that to the emphasis on the understanding of children as social agents rather than just passive beings. And that stood out for me because my own book just came out as well in relation to children and warfare. This is something that I seriously stress as a part. Understanding that helps us to be able to center voices. So for me, both very well made points. And part of that is also the clarity of argument that tends the articulation of this position.
Thank you. Now, we hear the next speaker. Please quickly and try to stay within 10 minutes so we can maximize the time we have. Please, who is speaking next?
I
Is
am.
Sarah there?
Yes,
Is that
I am.
Sarah?
Yes, please.
Sarah, please speak quickly.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Chikezie, for the gift of your book. I describe it as a gift because to write is to avail oneself to critique. But you've written a compelling and very timely text. I'll just go straight to the point and talk about the things I love about the work. And there are 6 of them. I'll just run through them really fast. The first one is, like Ademola hinted, the idea that chance encounters, such as meeting a young boy, Ugochukwu, at a store can birth this beautiful cultural product. I really love that. Thank you for making research ideas simpler and inspiring us to look around us for more ideas that can birth, again, very beautiful pieces. The second one is, I think your work is a celebration and a demonstration of methodological prowess. I loved how you justified every step you took regarding your choices, whether it's for the focus group, 16 of them, like you did, 175 participants, that's a lot of work. For those of us who write and do research, we know that transcribing 10 hours of text and conversation is a lot of work. And then added to that, 430 participants for survey, that's solid. So I love your technical competence. I love the rigor that you applied, creativity, and of course, the very delicate issue of sensitivity, ethical compliance, and all of that. So well done. The third thing I would like to talk about is the beauty of your linearity. I think I would like to call it that. So to understand the work that you've presented, one will have to start from beginning to end. I love that, but you did it in a way that is not boring. So you took us on the journey carefully, repeating the important things that we needed to know about agency, about your own color around domestication. And that was beautiful to read. I couldn't drop it. For Chikezie knows that I just welcomed the most beautiful set of twins. And so it's been a very tough time for me navigating motherhood for the first time and having to also engage with work. But it wasn't difficult. I found myself reading sections of the book to the kids and just hearing them babble afterwards and just have fun with it. It was beautiful to see that. So that's the third thing. The third thing. The fourth one is about your child-centered approach. I think research in Africa for many years, at least based on my own level of exposure, we've always ignored the child. Every time people want to do research, they're like 18 upwards. You see the questionnaire copies, 18 upwards. So it was beautiful again to hone into the idea that children are not just things that we should ignore, that they have power, they have agency, no matter how. And I also love in doing the child-centered approach, you were also careful to talk about their structural inequalities, their limitations, their challenges, and of course, the big question around ethics. And you danced around that, really, you skirted around it carefully and mapped out exactly what you wanted to achieve. I loved how you explained the journey towards selecting 13 to 18 and the reasons you gave to that. So thank you so much. But again, I have to talk about the fifth element here is how you brought in the decolonial discourse in a way that is neat, not funny, not complex. You decentered a lot of Western narratives around who children are, the whole try to explain data use in terms of how much data we use or how much screen time we spend to really talk about how powerful the Nigerian youth is. I have questions around the selection, but again, and the choice of Anambra and the FCT, that's very intelligent. That's not something that people would do all the time. People may just say, okay, Northwest, Southwest, or whatever. But the choice of Anambra, one of the hotbeds in terms of education in Nigeria, and of course, blending that or contrasting that with the elitist population that is Abuja is brilliant. Do I have questions about representation and how we can use that to mirror Nigeria? Yes, I do. But the selection itself is one that I really applaud because I see what we're trying to accomplish by talking about those two spaces. And then lastly, education and policy implication, powerful. So you're telling us on one hand to move from just mere literacy to critical media literacy. And then you also pointed out carefully about what parents like me and so many others around the world, digital safety is really important that Nigeria in terms of policy we do more around that. So massive thank you. I celebrate you. I have questions. I have things that I feel maybe can drive conversation into further research, but thank you so much. God bless you.
Ma, please unmute yourself. Prof, Ma, please unmute yourself.
Because there's a noise from your end, so please unmute.
I think we'll just leave her unmuted.
Is that this?
I think it's just better to leave her unmuted.
Let's go ahead, man.
Am I being unmuted from over there?
Yes, ma'am.
You can't unmute you.
Oh dear.
So go on now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Prof.
Yes, we can hear you now, Prof.
Becoming frustrated over all these technical hitches. Let me again, on a lighter note, I said I bow and tremble before the mother of twins. Did you hear me for that one? My dear girl, congratulations. And just before we continue, I remember this is one of the things mothers do or suffer. As a young mother, I had a fully funded scholarship to study abroad for my PhD. But I had a baby below 1 year old and I couldn't go. It was a big sacrifice. It was while agonizing over that failure to travel that Unilag restarted their PhD program. And that was how I got to Unilag and historically obtained the first PhD in mass communication there. So congratulations, my dear girl. Please forge ahead. Don't let the motherhood angle distract you. Give it your best shot. Also give your best shot to your academics. Well done, eh? I'm also happy about what you have presented. Again, more praise for Chikezie's book. Like you, I was impressed also. I was, amazed that a chance encounter with a little boy could lead to this kind of academic and literary masterpiece. So thank you for your view. Thank you for your observation. And I think you are right also that the book has raised so many issues. And I thank Chikezie again. Sometimes people look at Anambra and they say, oh, they're educationally advanced, therefore little research. They keep rushing to areas where people are not doing as well. But he focused on his own place, and the result is here to impress and amaze all of us. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you're hearing me.
Very good.
Yes, clearly.
Sarah, thank you very much. My regards to the twins, so.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
Ngozi, are you ready?
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
Can we hear you?
Thank you. Children and young people's Lifeworlds, 2024 by Dr. Chikezie is a bold and timely scholarly intervention that disrupts dominant digital narratives by centering the lived realities of Nigerian adolescents, which is my area of research interest. It is a detailed written study on a simple specialized subject of how the relationship between young Nigerians and digital technologies interacts. Located within the overlapping fields of media studies, youth studies, and the new sociology of childhood, This monograph undertakes a context-sensitive and child-centered inquiry into how children in rural, peri-urban, and urban Nigeria interact with digital technologies. With the ways he actively examines both qualitative and quantitative data that form the foundations of this study, Macmillan opens a pertinent space for rethinking digital childhood in the world today. Now, as it is believed, and I believe it too, that no idea can be sustainable without a theoretical backing. So I'm still with the two theories he used. One, the new sociology of childhood. This theoretical approach positions children, like I said before, as competent social actors of adult culture. It emphasizes the validity of children's voices and deconstructs prevailing adult assumptions in research and policy making. This emergence, this theoretical emergence, it's attempted to reconstitute the child, like I said before, as a subject rather than an object, as a being rather than a becoming, and to argue that childhood is a social construct that society has formed, which is what I suffered from that book. Now, another very interesting theory, which is very key in media studies, which I really fell in love with, is domestication theory. Borrowed from media and communication studies, this theory shows how individuals and households then and appropriate technology by giving beyond access to focus on embedded usage, rituals, meaning making an agency in everyday context. This theory is also, like the other one, a multidisciplinary approach used to describe the process by which innovations of novel technologies are adapted or contextualized by users who have unique characteristics based on their personality and location. Now, if you now makes use of mixed methods, that is similar of, like what has already been said, 16 focal groups, discussions, 380 surveys, and let me give the rest and go to the key ideas in the course of time. Now, one, digital practices in context. The book challenges the universal concept of digital native by highlighting the realities of infrastructural poverty, class stratification, and gender inequality in Nigeria. It reveals that Nigerians' access to the digital space is often constrained by affordability, adult gatekeeping, and inadequate digital literacy infrastructures. Despite the fact that Nigerian youths demonstrate digital creativity. Second, key point, the role of adults, digital gatekeeping. Adults, especially parents, teachers, and religious leaders often play a contradictory role in adolescents' digital life. They hover between being encouragers, prohibitors, and moral panic mongers. This, according to Uzebunam, means that some parents support their young ones when the issues of technologies are concerned. Contrary to this opinion, some parents are always at loggerheads with their children on these discussions. This mediation reflects social-cultural anxieties about children's vulnerability, especially in conservative African, or should I say, Nigerian context. The third one is precarious agency. Uzebunam's respondents articulate a strong sense of agency by using digital platforms for schoolwork, peer interaction, self-expression, and even resistance. The children in question developed a novel way of using the media. However, their agency is precarious in the sense that it is constantly negotiated within boundaries set by socio-economic limitations, adult suspicion, and internalized moral frameworks. Contradictions in media perception. Adolescents express both enthusiasm and skepticism towards digital media. Many acknowledge the benefits, learning, connection, identity building, while they simultaneously express concern about overuse, online safety, and parentalism. This duality is what Abdel called the mobile connectivity paradox and ambivalence in digital participation. This is communicating the fact that the impact of technology on children's lives have both been criticized and praised. Now, I'm going to go to the structure of the book, but I'm not going to go into detail because of time. The book is structured into 10 chapters. plus a prologue and an epilogue, which I'm going to do that briefly now. The prologue from intro to research. A chance encounter, all of us have to, that's also one of the intriguing parts of it. I have to also mention, I wanted to skip, but I have to see for emphasis. Talk about it. A chance encounter with a precarious 9-year-old named people is confidently using a mobile phone in what inspired Uzeuegbunam's long-term investigation into the digital lives of Nigerian people. This ethnographic moment becomes the seed for a doctoral journey and this book, of course. So I want to go through the different chapters which I made most focus. Now let me go to the summary of key findings, core findings of the number one. Children are not passive consumers. Although often within constrained environments, they also shape their digital experiences. Two, access does not equal empowerment. Material access to digital devices does not guarantee meaningful use. Number three, adult mediation is complex. While often protective, it can also reinforce moralistic control and hinder digital exploration, which is lacking in Africa. Because of the way our development is going on, people are really stifled to do what we're doing, and we now try to emulate what is happening in China, Korea, wherever. Why in our own place we don't give chance for other people to really excel? Now, digital inequality is real. I know I got it from you. And layer, rural and urban disparities, gender divides, and school policy gaps all contribute to this. Young people want to be heard from the book ahead, and that one stood out. And I'm sure, because I work with some people and I can attest to this as well. Their opinions, fears, and aspirations show both enthusiasm and skepticism about digital cultures. Then I can also look at some limitations and areas of further research, which are for some of them being also articulated in the work. Although the book has critically interrogated the relationship between youth and digital spaces, several areas remain underexplored, and the author candidly acknowledges the study's limitations as follows. One, lack of adult perspective. Although children's voices are prioritized, incorporating views from parents and teachers will offer a clear picture of digital negotiation. This study is one-sided as it negates this perspective of other stakeholders, which I have just mentioned. Need for longitudinal tracking. The book captures a moment in time, but does not extend into cannot extend into how this life was evolved over time. The book does not look into the futuristic situations of the study. Limited special differentiation. Although the study spans rural to urban settings, more detailed comparative analysis and more variables will take insights on special district life. Children and young people's digital device classroom is a pioneering model, which I'm glad to put that started now, that reframes digital use studies through the lens of African adolescents, not from the Western world. It skillfully combines theory, method, and lived experiences to disrupt simplistic narratives about children and technology. In an age where digital media are increasingly integral to education, socialization, and identity formation, this investigates how adolescents in Nigeria engage with digital technologies in everyday life. It offers a comprehensive and context-rich analysis of how digital practices among young people are shaped by access, infrastructure, social norms, adult relation, and personal agency, framed within domestication theory and the new sociology of childhood, which treats children not as passive recipients of technology, but as active participants in constructing their digital life forms. Let me see.
We're used to the routine now.
You come back to the naughty part. You don't need to admit yourself. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Now,
Yes.
Ngozi, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You know, the things you said, I also have anxiety about Nigerian children, about online safety. I'm glad you raised this in your discussion. Sometimes I wonder, maybe Chikezie will tell us this, and a lot of you should also chip in. Are our children really safe online? I don't think so, personally. Honestly, I look at media literacy is becoming more and more important, but who is listening? What we see online, and I'm glad this book mentioned it, and the last speaker also referred to it. Thank you for this incisive, again, look at Chikeze's book, raising a number of issues, the rigorous research it is based on, the matter of online safety, and other issues raised by the book. More and more praise pouring in, well deserved from what I'm hearing here. Finally, Wale, are you ready to speak to us?
Yes. As soon as you yield the floor to me, I also want to lend my my voice to Chikeze's book. Yes, I think to start with, I have a kind of granular notes written down, on Chikeze's book, so I might not have a, a full-fledged kind of, presentation, but I'm going to hit on the most important aspects, some of the notes I've been able to take down. The book emerges as a landmark contribution to the understanding of children's digital practices, especially in the third world part of the world, against some of the things we have read, in other contexts, possibly the US, the UK, and the EU. They are quite vibrant when it comes to reporting on digital technology use experience of their young people, both from a positive and negative part of the device. So against the backdrop of a rapid digitalization in Africa and increasing global attention to digital divides, Chikeze's book uniquely centers young people's lived experiences in a Nigerian context. The author critiques the existing literature's dominant focus on minority, word paradigms, as it beautifully puts it, against the more popular, third world, label. And also, the fact that it's also been able to situate it within the context of the moral panics that comes with technology use among young people, and urging for more decolonial and situated understanding of the digital childhood. It's a wonderful, perspective that I always, love to read. So the book's empirical foundation for me, it's quite robust, and I must confess to I'm a critic of research methods, but that's one of my areas. And then when I see a work that is thoroughly done, I always want to give that kind of work their flowers. And this is one of the areas where Chikezie scored a very important point with this book. A mixed method study is not also quite common within the Nigerian research landscape, and having over 550 adolescents in urban and peri-urban rural Nigeria, a mixture of both, Anambra and Abuja, creates a wonderful mix that also underpin one of the strengths of this particular book. The analysis itself is nested, within media studies, and I can also, feel the widely popular youth studies and the sociology of childhood, and of course, within the context of the African media studies in this particular book. So it offers a kind of broader, interdisciplinary discourse regarding children's and young people's experience with technology. Chikeze's work is child-centered, no doubt, and also for grounding young people's agency rather than casting them as a passive victims of risk, of digital risk. So I have other things that I've also, read through and taken down as notes regarding the theoretical and methodological strength of this work. So I'll start with the theoretical aspect of the book. Theoretically, the study integrates the new sociology of childhood with domestication theory as propounded by Silverstone and others. It is enabling nuanced insight into how adolescents, I wouldn't say adopt, I would say appropriate, which is also a kind of, a term that is synonymous with the word domestication. So how adolescents appropriate digital technologies, within the dynamic social context. The new sociology of childhood allows Uzuegbunam to foreground children as active social agents, challenging dominant adultist discourses. Domestication theory helps to unpack how technology is embedded in and transforms the routines of daily life. So, and for me, that is an insight into how technology should be read, especially in a third world country, or probably in a developing country like Nigeria. While we can see technology as both as good and also bad artifacts, their good and bad nature is also underpinned by some very contextual based elements, so that at every point when technology is adopted in a place, it usually takes the form of the social experience of the people in order to put them into use, and that is the very thorough definition of domestication, which Chikezie has been able to foreground with this book. Methodologically, the work's strength also lies in its triangulation, of course, with the focus group here, and surveys, and also self-reflexive, interviews. All put together yielded a detailed texture, portrait of adolescent digital engagement. I'm quite worried about the ethical sensitivity of working with children, and I would want to ask Chikezie probably at some point, virtually, or probably at some when we meet in person, how he was able to navigate the very complex nature of research with children, especially in Nigeria, where apprehensions, restrictions, and epistemological orders are usually placed. I can see myself in Nigeria 2016 when I was trying to collect data for my PhD, and even though this had to do with adult use experience in certain in journalistic context, I want to confess that it's another ball game, trying to draw data from a corpus of individuals that are restless, that are very restless. Journalists are very restless. Hardly you can pin them to a spot. I see them equally with children, with the apprehension that will come in schools, with parents, how he was able to navigate all this, is another important addition to the strength of the paper, of the book. So I have a chapter by chapter breakdown of some of the things that I've considered to be the strengths and weaknesses here and there, but probably at the point when we have a discussion around this important aspect, I would be touching on them, but for me, my favorite chapters, at the end, the preceding chapters of the book, starting from chapter 7, chapter 8, chapter 9, all through to the back. I really, really find them, probably because, the preliminary part of the book centers more on the context building, the surveys, the demography, and all that. And by the time you get to chapter 7 and chapter 8, you start feeling the heartbeat of the book in itself, and now it's been able to discuss the agencies of children vis-a-vis all the mediations, shared contextual beliefs, and all other nuances that Chikezie has brilliantly put down, in this wonderful and timely book. Yeah, thank you. You need to unmute, Prof. Yes, it's on.
Sir, well done. You really digested this book, locating the heartbeat towards the end of the book. And I'm not surprised at your review because you are a teacher of research. One of the things that has impressed you here is the idea that this book is anchored on very rigorous research. I also like the way you raised the very topical issue of digital divide. You know, a divided world is a worrisome problem. I don't know how the so-called third world countries are addressing this. I hope they are coming out, like Chikezie rightly says there is so much research in the Western world, in the minority world. So much is known about children and everybody really about their use of technology. What do we know about these things in our part of the world? So books like this, like you said, is a landmark contribution to the issues surrounding what we're saying. Quickly, we have how many more minutes? About 15 minutes more. Now, the next section of our discussion I've titled My Book and I. Chikezie, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
And see shining in white. Can we hear you on this book? Tell us as much as you can in 10 minutes. Then the other 10 minutes or thereabout, we'll look at other aspects. Wind up. Can we hear you? Title, My Book and Me, or My Book and I, whichever one you prefer. Go on, speak to us.
Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to the colleagues in the audience and online. I'm really, really very pleased that this session has finally happened. My head has already happened, so I'm very happy that all of you are here, and I'm very amazed by the level of rigor and attentiveness to the book reviews by the panelists. Indeed, when we set out selecting the chair and the panelists for this book session, myself and Professor Aderinto suggested some names, and it was easy for me to suggest Professor Chinyere and Professor Ngozi here. And then Professor Aderinto suggested Professor Demola and Professor Wale Oni. Oh, and of course, my friend, Dr. Sarah Joe, yes. It was easy for me to suggest the people that I know that are serious-minded, that are accomplished in their fields, and also Professor Aderinto rightly suggested these distinguished professors. And today we have seen how the composition has melded into this very rich and powerful discussion, and I'm really very pleased, really pleased. So this book, Children and Young People's Digital Life Worlds, is a product of my PhD thesis. I think it's important to acknowledge that first. But it's not, the book is not the thesis, if you understand what I mean. So after the thesis was completed in 2019, there was further research and reflections around the digital lives of children and young people that have gone on into this book since 2020. So lots of things had to change, lots and lots of revisions had to be made, and further reflections and updating of the literature around the subject. So I'm pleased that I was able to get the contract from one of the world's most renowned publishers, Palgrave, Macmillan, to have this book published internationally in this way. And I think this might be the first book on children and digital technology in Nigeria. I think it is, because I have not, I remember when I was writing this book, searching and searching for literature, searching and searching for other sources, pre-existing work around this, and I did not see. I only saw something that Professor Aderinto published on childhood, something childhood, right? And I also cited him in the book. But there is still no book, or another book since this one, since last year that it was published on children and digital technology. You could see other books on older categories of children or young people, like from 18 years old upwards, right? But there is none about children, teenagers specifically. and that is my focus. I still regard them as my primary constituency. It's my life work now. And, and I really want to thank you, the panelists, for the suggestion for an improved version or a follow-up book interrogating where we are now, right? It's been some years since the field work, and also bringing into the perspective or into the mix of discussion adult perspectives, teachers, parents, and other adults, relatives in children's world. And so it is my hope that the funding for this will happen. Ademola, you understand that it's not easy to write a monograph solely, as an academic without funding. So I'm hoping that I'll have funding over the next few years, because that is really what I want to do, to explore where we are now, and also to bring in the adult voices in this conversation. I want to very quickly, respond to some of the issues that came up. I think 3 of them. The issue of the moral panic versus the low media literacy. I know that everyone here are concerned about what children do online. Everybody, because we are, many of us here, we are parents and we work with children, and we're constantly worried. So there's the moral panic lens that we use to view children's digital environment. But my recommendation, and from what I've seen from this research, is that we use moral panic. We are worried, oh, don't do this, don't use the phone. But we don't follow it up with something else. We don't follow it up with education. We don't follow it up with adequate mentoring. We don't follow it up with literacy, teaching children or taking them to places where they can learn how to use technology properly. Right? We pay for after school lessons, in other things, for them to learn other things, but we should be investing in also taking them for after school lessons to learn about certain aspects of technology that are integral to their childhood, but also their future, right? And so it's an encouragement for Nigerian parents to make sure that they follow up the moral panic thing with a proactive and intentional strategy of how to have a conversation with your child about what they are doing with the phone, or what they want to do with the phone, or what their friends are doing with their mobile phone, or what they should, what they should actually. The digital opportunities for children and young people are enormous, but because we shut it down with moral panic, with judgment and shaming and guilt, then we stifle those digital opportunities at the get-go. So then the other thing is about the regional representations of the sample of the sample of children used in the research. Yes, I strategically decided to use Anambra State and FCT Abuja because of the geographical composition and what those areas or what those locations in Nigeria represent. Right? Of course, Anambra State is very, very different from FCT Abuja, and we've seen the richness. But I agree with my friend Dr. Sarah Jo that it is not enough, and of course that means that any work that is going to be done from now on to improve this offering, maybe second edition, will have to be the sampling will have to be much more varied. Maybe lastly, the ethical sensitivities that Professor Waloni raised. Yes, we can talk about that, my brother, when we see physically. but I want to say that you're very right about ethical sensitivities in researching children. It was enormous. The permissions that I had to get from ministries of education, from the schools, from the principals, from parental consent, from the children themselves. The children, there's a difference between assent and consent. The children have to agree, first of all, that they want to be involved in the research. That's assent. And then consent, informed consent, will then come when you have explained the research to them, and they will also then agree or take the forms home for their parents to sign, for those of them who are under 18, and then if they are above 18, then they sign for themselves. So it was really difficult going around all the schools, eight schools in total, going through the hurdles of getting the permissions, speaking to the principals, scheduling the appointments and scheduling the day for the field work to happen, the interviews, the discussion, the survey. It was a lot. But I'm glad that I did it, and I'm very pleased and fulfilled that the product is this book that we are discussing today. So I'm really very pleased. Thank you so much, Tommy Prof, the chair, and the panelists, the distinguished panelists, and people online and people in the room. Thank you so much. And of course, now let's bring back yes.
Many people online contribute. Do we have our audience?
Yes.
Do they want to?
We do. Everybody has questions.
During this event from there, is it?
Does it have in the room?
No, online. Anybody wants to say anything from anywhere?
Are there someone here that wants to ask questions?
We have 5 minutes.
Okay, please go ahead. Thank you for this wonderful listening to this words. I have 2 points of discussion, and one is for the author, and the other one goes to my blog then. So considering the sample, you said you involve FCT and Anambra, which you've already agreed that for future researches should cover more areas. Because to my perspective, FCT in the northern part of the country, while Anambra is central. And the other part, significant southwest is generously neglected, especially Lagos. And even when we check the interest percentages, Lagos and the state are supporting this choosing fee. So in future research, can just consider that. And my problem, there was a point that you mentioned, very, very important, that children are social agents and should not be treated passively. So I want to ask, has been confusing me so far, that children from birth are clean slates and pluralism. So at one point, do we determine to be involved in it? Because for them to be active, they have to have something in them. They have to have a culture, a way of life. And that culture, society will inform it. So at one point, do we separate involving them or enculturating them? So I want to know. So,
well, I'm not the authority. But the question you raised is as part of my own research too, because my new book is on children and warfare, child soldiers, and it's a fundamental question. But let me quickly go back and say this: there are all kinds of schools of thought about whether children are black slaves or not. I think I gravitate towards the notion that they are not. For example, the business of eating. It's not what the child learns only when they are born. It has when they are in the womb. Okay? A child at certain stage of growth in the mother's belly, the fetus, can understand voices, and then react to them. They know when the father is around or any other thing. So that's not a blank slate to begin with. And let me make one more, a bit provocative. I focus a lot on children and the loss of innocence. And I always ask the question, as I did in my book, where does the loss of innocence in children of war, begins? I mean, some folks will argue it's within handbook. I disagree and say it happens prior to enlistment. If you look at socio-political conditions, but more importantly, hunger is an adult thing. That's not a children experience. But in the Nigeria that we have known in the last few decades, most children know the color of hunger while they're in their mother's womb. Because if the mother doesn't eat, they don't eat. They eat what the mother eats. So they know hunger already. In that instance.
The same time is up.
Okay. Yeah, I keep quiet. Oh, yeah.
Please, now unmute yourself.
Prof. We need you to unmute yourself now.
Okay. We can hear you.
I think we've run out of time.
Right, yeah.
An extension of time?
Yeah,
If not,
you can round off my chair.
right, all right. So what would I say? I've enjoyed myself thoroughly. And I hope you've also enjoyed yourself. Chikezie, I would like to ask, maybe you can explain this to me privately. How do you overcome your moral panic? For me, as a mother and as a grandmother, I'm in terrible panic over children of the media. I am not repressing my grandchildren, but then I'm constantly in a panic over what they're doing. So maybe you'll lecture me later on when we finish privately how you're overcoming, how you're finding the courage to do what you're doing. And to the panelists, I am impressed. You're intelligent scholars. You have done meticulous work on this book. Every evidence shows that you read this book from cover to cover, and that's what a scholar should do. You don't come discussing a publication you haven't thoroughly understood. Thank you very much. I see you're mainly young people. You're all young people, and I see a bright future for you in the academia. In my language, they will say, Jisike, well done, oh? And may the future remain bright for you in the academia. And please let me also appreciate the LLC group for this empowering session. And finally, to my son, Chikezie, I'm proud of you. Keep shining. And you've heard what they said about second edition. It should be as soon as possible, though I don't think, you think adult voices will do well in a children's book like this? Well, that's a suggestion. You could include them to enrich the book. We're really looking forward to second edition. But this first edition, I'm happy with it, and I'm impressed. To the panel again, please applaud yourselves, appreciate yourselves. You have done well, and I'm happy. Thank you.